Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Joan Vassos admits retro senior prom is the perfect first date. The Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos got to meet her 24 men last week during the inaugural episode of the show. While she had to cut ties with 4, she still has 20 men to speed date over the next few weeks. Unquestionably, she has many big decisions ahead. But she admits that having a throwback to senior prom was the perfect first date. Joan Vassos has her work cut out for her. Although Joan Vassos' journey has just begun, she is off to a great start getting to know her guys. Undeniably, she has a wonderful group of guys to pick from. While there are a few red flags that viewers have spotted, the crew seems to have fun. However, it is too early to tell the men's true colors. Undeniably, Joan has her work cut out for her to determine who she will take with her to the end. In a preview for the newest episode of The Golden Bachelorette, the seniors are having the time of their lives returning to a throwback senior prom. Retro Prom Heaven. During the upcoming episode of The Golden Bachelorette, the preview teases a great first group date. But Bachelor Nation didn't spare any effort when setting up Joan Vassos' retro senior prom. Since most of the Golden Bachelorette men would have gone to prom in the 80s, Bachelor Nation had them set up in a decked-out gymnasium with balloons, silver streamers, retro punch bowls, and powder blue suits. Among the men vying for her time and attention on the spectacular throwback date were Mark Anderson, Bob Kilroy, Jonathan Roan, Jordan Heller, Gary Livingston, Keith Gordon, and Guy Gansert. Each is moving and grooving to the music. They posted throwback photos from each of the attendees' original prom, showing a classic recreation of their memory lane. Each of the photos shows a glimpse at the men in their prime and showcases some of their personality. Furthermore, Joan and Jonathan connect over his past photo and how young he appears. She asks how old he is there, and he guesses he was a sophomore. But they also had a photo set for the guys to capture their prom date with Joan. Although it was a fast and furious evening, Joan seemed to enjoy revisiting the past while she searched for her future love. Joan Vassos has a big choice to make. However, it wasn't all fun and games. Not only is winning over Joan's heart part of the mission, but these men are duking it out to gain the coveted title of Golden Bachelorette, Prom King from their magical lady. Furthermore, Jess Palmer gets everyone excited, saying, "Thank you so much for being here to celebrate the first ever Golden Prom." Additionally, he ignites the competition. "We are gonna have a lot of fun here today, but of course, who tonight will be crowned Prom King?" Undeniably, Joan Vassos will have a tough decision. But Gary is ready to party. He says, "I'm gonna just let loose out there." While the men are grooving on the dance floor, Mark Anderson is the bad boy that snuck in a flask to spike the punch. However, Joan Vassos doesn't seem to mind. She even seems to become his accomplice in the matter. Joan Vassos admits retro senior prom is the perfect first date. Although the guys had to split their time with Joan Vassos, they seemed to have fun anyway. The preview shows Joan getting photos with Mark Anderson, Guy Gansert, Jordan Heller, and so much more. But most importantly, Joan had a blast getting to know each of the men a little better. She says, "We're having such a good time, it's just like the perfect first date." Joan Vassos had always been a fan of the classics. Whether it was her love for old black and white movies, her obsession with vinyl records, or her affinity for vintage fashion, she believed there was something timeless about the past. But when it came to first dates, she never expected that her passion for nostalgia would lead her down an unforgettable path. It all started with a casual conversation at the local coffee shop, where she had bumped into Tom, a friendly acquaintance she had known for years, but never really spent time with outside of group settings. They had both ordered the same drink, a double espresso with a splash of almond milk, and laughed over the coincidence. From there, the conversation had flowed easily, and before Joan knew it, they were talking about high school memories, prom night, and how times had changed since then. "I never went to my senior prom," Tom admitted, smiling sheepishly. "I was kind of the nerdy guy who preferred video games over dancing." Joan's eyes lit up. "I went, but it wasn't anything special. I always thought it would be more magical, like in the movies." That's when the idea struck her. "You know," she began slowly, an excited grin spreading across her face, "we could go to a prom now. I mean, not a real one, obviously, but we could make our own senior prom. A retro prom, like something out of the 80s or 90s. You know, neon colors, big hair, cheesy music. It would be fun." Tom raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "You're serious?" Joan nodded enthusiastically. "Why not? It could be our first date, a retro senior prom. Think about it, Tom. No awkward small talk, no pressure, just pure, silly fun. We can dance to Take On Me and Time After Time, wear ridiculous outfits, and have a blast." The more she talked, the more Tom warmed to the idea. He could tell Joan was a romantic at heart, and there was something undeniably charming about her proposal. He wasn't much of a dancer, but the thought of a lighthearted, unconventional date appealed to him. It was something out of the ordinary, something memorable. "Okay, Joan," he said with a smile. "Let's do it. Let's have our retro prom." Joan didn't waste any time. She immediately set to work planning every detail, as though it were an event of a lifetime. She dug out old VHS tapes for inspiration, combed through thrift stores for the perfect outfits, and even created a playlist of retro hits that would keep them dancing all night long. Tom, on the other hand, was tasked with securing the venue, his uncle's old barn, which was rustic and charming enough to transport them back in time. The day of their first date arrived, and as Joan prepared, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness. She slipped into a bright pink satin dress with puffed sleeves, her hair teased into voluminous curls just like they did in the 80s. She added a string of fox pearls around her neck and applied a light dusting of glitter to her cheeks. She looked at herself in the mirror and grinned. This was going to be epic. Tom arrived to pick her up in his dad's old Buick, which he had cleaned and polished for the occasion. He, too, had embraced the retro theme, sporting a powder blue tuxedo with a matching bow tie. His hair was slicked back, and he wore a pair of oversized sunglasses that completed the look. Joan gasped when she saw him. "Tom, you look amazing. This is exactly what I imagined." Tom chuckled. "I feel ridiculous, but in a good way." They drove to the barn, both of them laughing and singing along to Joan's retro playlist on the way. When they arrived, the barn had been transformed into a prom wonderland, complete with streamers, disco balls, and a dance floor lit up by twinkling fairy lights. Joan had gone all out, even setting up a punch bowl and a corner for prom photos, complete with a cheesy backdrop of stars and moons. "Welcome to our senior prom," Joan said dramatically, gesturing around the barn. Tom shook his head in amazement. "Joan, this is incredible. I can't believe you did all this." They danced under the stars, spinning each other around to Madonna's Like a Prayer and Bon Jovi's Livin' on a Prayer. They laughed as they attempted to remember the moves to the electric slide and busted out some of the corniest dance moves from their high school days. With every song, Joan felt the night growing more and more magical. But amidst the fun, there was something else, something deeper. It wasn't just about the retro theme or the carefree dancing. Joan could feel it in the way Tom looked at her, in the way their hands brushed together during a slow dance to Careless Whisper. There was a quiet connection forming, an unspoken chemistry that was undeniable. What had started as a playful idea was turning into something more, something real.